morning, dear classmates, our inspiring mentor, Teacher Cherry, and most especially to our respected guests. Today is the most awaited event in our science class. Right, Franz?
Yes, Gavin, it excites us a lot. We have learned few weeks ago about plants. Teacher Cherry imparts to us knowledge and beauty of it. Today, we will deepen our appreciation of plants through the help of our guests. And we call this a day with Botanist.
This is indeed a great day, Franz, because at this moment we will meet and chat with them, and we can't wait to hear and to learn some information about the life of being a botanist.
Botanist really loves plants. Now, may that become our inspiration for us to listen intently to their wisdom and experience. Are you ready, dear classmates? Great! So now, let's fasten our seatbelts.
I guess they are now ready. So now, what are we waiting for? Let us all welcome our guests. Our first guest is a professor in the Department of Biological Sciences, College of Arts and Sciences, University of Southern Mindanao, Tabacan, Cotabato. Moreover, he is a graduate research fellow, undergraduate program, Philippine Council for Agriculture, Aquatics, and Natural Resources, Research and Development, Los Baños, Laguna. And currently, he is a PhD candidate in Botany under Plant Biology Division, Institute of Biological Sciences, College of Arts and Sciences, University of the Philippines, Los Baños College, Laguna. My fellow students, let us give a warm welcome to our outstanding guest, Mr. Florence Roy P. Salvania, Master of Science.
Our second guest speaker is a Doctor of Philosophy in the University of Texas, Austin, Botany Graduate Program, Department of Integrative Biology, on August 2006. She had also Montessori Upper Elementary Diploma, North American Montessori Center on 2017. She had also Montessori Lower Elementary Diploma, North American Montessori Center on 2015. Lastly, she got Bachelor of Science in Botany and graduated as a summa cum laude in the University of Florida on May 2000. Her professional experience. She is the lecturer in the Virginia Commonwealth University, VCU, Department of Biology from August 2006 to December 2011. She is the assistant professor in Ateneo de Manila University, Department of Biology from June 2012 to March 2015. She is the digital content author and editor for McGraw-Hill Publishing from August 2011 to April 2016. Currently, she is a consultant in the Institutes for Research, Innovation, and Scholarships, IRIS, from August 2018 to the present. She is passionate about science education at all levels, and she hopes to use her scientific background, teaching experience, content creation experience, and writing skills to further dissemination of knowledge as broadly as possible, working to make the world a smarter place. My dear classmates, teacher, please help me to welcome our second guest speaker. Miss Joanna Ann Podolina, PhD.
Hello.
Welcome to our boats. Welcome to our talk show, ma'am.
Thank you. It's good to be here.
You're welcome, my dear classmates. So now, I think our dear classmates would like to know more about our visitors.
Indeed, Franz. So now, let us hear some of their questions. May I call on Group 1? Please state your question, which will be answered by Sir Florence Roy Salvania. Your question, please.
Hello and good morning, Mr. Roy. Here is our question. Why did you come up with a plan of being a botanist or studying plants?
Okay, good morning, everyone. I hope my voice is clear. So, during my undergraduate, I I was not a botanist during my undergraduate. It is because I'm studying invertebrate zoology. So, during my senior year in undergraduate, um, during my BS degree, I happened to join a team of botanists within their field survey. So I was influenced by a professor within this area, within the region. So I was amazed with how he identifies plant and he was able to name it directly with scientific names. So um, I was challenged to how could be able to how that particular mentor of mine be able to identify those plants as many as he can within the field. So with that, I took my master's in botany in UPLB, majoring in plant systematics. So um, that started, or that particular challenge, or that particular field survey um, uh, encouraged me to study botany, to study plants, specifically on plant systematics because of that particular challenge. I hope I answer your question.
What a passionate answer. Thank you, Sir Roy. And now, let's move on to the second group. But before that, may I ask Doc Joanna to please answer the question of Group 2. Group 2, kindly state your question.
Good morning, Ma'am Juana. Here is my question. What is the most struggle of studying plants?
Sorry. Can you say that once more?
What is the biggest struggle of studying plants?
Oh, so I also study plant systematics, and when I first moved to the Philippines, I wanted to do some work here in the Philippines. And when you study plant systematics, you want to go into the forest and collect plants. And in order to be allowed to collect plants, you have to get a permit from the government. You can't just go into the forest and take the plants, or there might not be any more plants left. So getting permits from the government, it's a very frustrating process. and I think that's sometimes it can take so long to get a permit that by the time you have a permit, somebody has illegally chopped down your forests. So I think that's probably the biggest struggle. And maybe also trying to get money to fund your work, because it can be expensive to do science.
What a motivating experience! Thank you, Ma'am Padolina, for sharing it to us. Now, the next question is for Sir Salvania. May we hear the question of Group 3, please?
Hello and good morning, Sir Roy. This is my question. What is the most interesting part of being a botanist?
Okay. So that is very nice question. Being a botanist is most interesting part for me. When you go out to the field, it's not learning plants within the four side of the classroom. So as a botanist, I do most of the time field work. So there's a lot of things you can explore outside, seeing beautiful plant species, unique plant species in the field. And aside from that, you can also expand your network in the field, meeting other people, meeting other botanists. So I think that's the most interesting part.
Thank you for sharing that wonderful experience, sir. Being a botanist is really quite interesting. Now, may I call Group 4 to ask question which will be answered by Doc Joanna.
Good morning, Mama Wana.
Hello.
Here is my question. What are the contributions of the botanist in the field of science?
Oh, well, that's a great question. Botany is a really amazing science, and plants can do lots of really, really amazing things. And many of the inventions that people use today have come from plants. So do you guys use Velcro? Do you use Velcro on your shoes to close your shoes? Yeah, or maybe to close a bag? Velcro was invented because somebody noticed that when they would walk through the field, there are burrs. Do you guys know what a burr is? It's the fruit of a small plant. Well, not that small, but it's the fruit of a plant. And if it gets caught on your clothes or if it gets caught on your dog, it's really hard to take it off. And so somebody looked at it under the microscope and they made that into Velcro. They used that structure and made it into Velcro. And somebody else looked at water lily leaves. Have you ever seen a water lily? Well, the leaves of the water lily float on top of the surface of the water, and the water beads up into these little balls. It's waterproof. And so somebody looked at the structure of the coating on the top of those leaves, and they used it to make a waterproof paint. So many plants are used to synthesize our drugs. We get a lot of medicine from the chemicals that are found inside plants. And plants use those chemicals to help prevent them from being eaten by insects or by fungus or by bacteria. And then people can look at those chemicals and turn them into medicines for people. So I think sometimes people think that plants don't really do anything interesting, but if you just look a little bit closer, you'll find out that they're pretty amazing.
Very well said, Ma'am Padolina. Thank you. The contributions of botanists in the field of science are really remarkable. Now, we will proceed to another question from Group 5 to be answered by Sir Salvania. Your question, please.
Good morning, Sir Roy. This is my question. Do you do botanical exploration, like collecting parts of the unknown plants? How do you identify them?
Uh, can you repeat the question, please?
Do you do botanical exploration, like collecting parts of the unknown plants? How do you identify them?
Thanks.
Okay. So part of my thesis was doing exploration on different parts of the Philippines, since that is of Philippine species. So I collect most of the time. We are permitted to collect most of the time just a small twig, okay, of a particular species that we are going to study and we're going to identify. So we need to get, it is necessary to get both vegetative and reproductive structure of the species that you want to study or to identify in order to identify it properly. So we usually uh, use different levels of identification. So there are times that we do recognize the species based on the characteristic of the leaves, the flowers, or the other reproductive parts like the fruits. So that's the first level. But then there are instances that some of those parts of the plant, especially for reproductive parts, are not available. So we need to use some of the key guides. Okay, so these are botanical guides that has the characteristic of different species that we are studying or plant species, and we need to cross-check the characteristic of the vegetative parts like the leaves, the structure of the leaves, its arrangement, or the characteristic of the stem. So in order to identify that, so it is basically necessary to have a good background of the vegetative characteristic of the plant as well as the characteristic of its reproductive parts. So for us, it's very there are times that we can recognize the species, but then again, if you are starting doing identification process, it is necessary to use botanical guides or ID keys, identification keys. You study the vegetative as well as the reproductive parts to be able to identify it or to be able to identify the species.
What's a brilliant explanation we have heard from our botanist. It's a great source of knowledge. And now, may we hear the question of Group 6, please, to be answered by Doc Joanna.
Good morning, Ma'am Padolina. As a botanist, do you also make herbal medicine or are you part of making one?
Well, for my job, I don't make herbal medicines, but my husband does. But because I love plants a lot, I have a lot of plants in my garden, and I do make herbal medicines for my family. So one of the things that is always my go-to is guava. Do you guys like guava? Do you know? Yeah, you have guava? Well, we have a guava tree in our yard, and if somebody gets a cut, especially my dogs, because if you put medicine on a dog, they just lick it off. But if I take the leaves of the guava tree and I boil it in water and I make some tea. And then I soak a paper towel in the guava tea, and then I press it onto the cut, onto the boo-boo. And it cleans the wound and it prevents bacteria from growing and making it infected. I also like to use ginger. Do you guys like ginger? Or is it too spicy for you? Yeah, ginger is good. And if I also make tea out of ginger, and that can make your tummy feel better if your tummy doesn't feel good. It's also just really good for your immune system, so it'll keep you healthy.
Thank you for that amazing, valuable information, Ma'am Padolina.
So now, I think the groups were able to ask their questions and were answered by our guest. Right, Gavin?
Indeed, Franz. Then, let's move on to the latter part of this activity. We would like to thank our respected guests for sharing their life worth experiences and insights of being botanists.
Thank you also, dear classmates, for your wonderful participation and inquisitive questions that make this activity full of life and excitement. Thank you, Teacher Cherry, and to all who became part of this activity.
Without a doubt, Franz, words are not enough to perfectly convey our heartfelt gratitude to everyone who made this activity a success and something that inculcates in our minds and in our hearts the value of and essence of being a botanist.
Truly inspiring, Gavin. Again, I am Franz Claire Illustrissima.
And I am Gavin Zelton B. Esteban.
We thank you for being with us this morning.
Have a great day, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.